Welcome to the MasterMind Library. I am. They call me Ferdinand, the bringer of balance, leader of many disciplines, and the host of the MasterMind Library, the home of the MasterMind Book Club. We've been reading out of The Ultimate Sales Machine. As you can see, we done read this book so many times, it's starting to fall apart. It might be time for a new copy. We're at a very special chapter today, the nitty gritty of getting the best buyers, chapter 9. As I've been telling y'all, there's some super important chapters. I would say that all of the chapters combined, obviously, are super important in the Ultimate Sales Machine. But chapter 9 has something special. I've used this chapter myself, as I've told y'all before in some of the past videos. I've used chapter 9 to create a wholesale portal on my website using that information that Chet Holmes gives away in the book on the Dream 100 strategy. So today we're going to go over the Dream 100 strategy. All y'all entrepreneurs out there, listen, if you need some help, hit the description in these videos. There's a leadership consultation link in there. I will help you set up your Dream 100 strategy. I'll help you set up your website. I'll help you set up your corporate structure. I'll help you set up whichever part of your business that you need help with. But I highly recommend that if you sell a product, if you sell any kind of a product, chapter 9 that I'm going to read today, you want to listen to this. Send this to your friends. Share this video. Get some people listening to this because I'm about to give away billion-dollar information right now. So let me go ahead and get set up in our virtual book so everybody can follow along and we will get started. All right, business to consumer strategies. We need chapter 9. Where you at? That's chapter 10. Oh, this is going to be a special day. I'm telling you, I love chapter 9. I done read this book so many times, and chapter 9 is something serious when it comes down to a strategy to help really take your sales to the next level. All right, so hopefully everybody can read that pretty easy. Let me go ahead and go to chapter 9 in my printed book, and we'll get started. The nitty gritty of getting the best buyers, step by step, day by day tactics to land your dream clients. All right, we're going to get started in just 1 second, y'all. Give me 1 second. All right. All right, I'm back again for the first time. The nitty gritty of getting the best buyers. Step by step, day by day tactics to land your dream clients. As you learned in chapter 6, the Dream 100 effort is your plan of attack to penetrate your best buyers. This is the fastest way to becoming the ultimate sales machine because these dream clients are the people or businesses that will buy your product or service faster, in greater quantities, and more frequently than any other buyers. All right. Landing just a handful of these dream clients can have a seismic impact on your bottom line. The reason the nitty gritty of getting those best buyers comes at this point in the process is because the preceding chapters provided more depth and layers about marketing and presenting to set you up for the nitty gritty and being as effective as possible in getting your dream clients. But the chapter that follows this one also contributes significantly as it spells out specific sales skills you're going to need to turn your dream prospects into clients. When you've identified someone who is a dream prospect, or you find a dream neighborhood of your best buyers, you need an organized, consistent, and relentless program to win them over as clients for life, no matter how many times they tell you they're not interested. And that's the key. You are actually expecting and planning for these dream prospects to say no several times. And these rejections will not cause you to give up. What's the first marketing piece you send them? What's the second? What do you do if they hang up on you? How do you set it up so your staff can handle multiple rejections without taking it personally or giving up? This chapter gives you detailed instructions on how to explode every sales record your company has ever had. I've taught the concept of the Dream 100 to individual clients, rooms full of executives, and people through my training products that sell in more than 20 countries. When I run into people who've had some of my training, I often find that one of their favorite growth strategies is the Dream 100 concept or best buyer strategy. Then I ask them, what have you done in that area? That's when I find out that the missing ingredient has been the lack of pig-headed determination and discipline. These people understand the best buyer concept intellectually and know that it is a great strategy for growing their company, but they didn't take the time to create a detailed plan. Or if they did, they abandoned the concept too easily. When I worked for Charlie Munger, I made zero sales for 4 months, nothing. But I kept it at and went on to double sales 3 years in a row. So this chapter spells it out step by step, inch by inch, word by word, letter by letter. Executives and salespeople reading this book know they are not going to give up after the first rejection. In fact, they will become more determined. But most executives and salespeople are trained to try for a month or two and go away after receiving rejections from nearly 100% of their dream prospects. How important could your product be if you go away after a single rejection or two? By being pig-headed, persistent, and determined, and by continually finding more clever and aggressive ways to get in front of these dream buyers, you actually earn their respect in the long haul. Everyone respects persistence in the face of resistance. I had a PR person chase me diligently for 2 years. I finally hired him out of respect for his diligence more than the initial belief in his talents. So if someone keeps coming after you, you begin to almost feel an obligation to reward their persistence. This strategy will show you how to win your place as the player at the top of the market where no one can compete with you. The perfect world Dream 100 sale. Here's how it works when you are determined and stick with it. The client I had that sold OEM products to manufacturers came to me in deep trouble. The company had had 3 years of declining revenues, and it was $6 million in the red on sales of $100 million. I trained the staff on the Dream 100 strategy to help them sell their OEM products to the biggest manufacturers in their market. As I mentioned in chapter 2, I worked with the 50-person sales team over a 5-month period with astonishing results. The first thing we did was to offer the CEOs of the largest manufacturers in their market an opportunity to learn the 5 most dangerous trends facing manufacturers. That's pretty hard to resist if you're a manufacturer, especially when it's presented by a well-respected company, which this client was. The offer letter we sent to these CEOs says something like, as you know, we rely on the manufacturers to be successful. To that end, we have commissioned a study and found that you have some serious problems. To help make certain that manufacturers are successful, we are now making this information available at no cost to you. You'll notice that I use this approach often. When you seek to serve your industry, it justifies your offering to do this for them. As previously stated, if you really want to serve your market, do some research that will be of value to them. Apparently, our letter was compelling, as it resulted in a 7% response rate. Most direct mail is lucky if it receives a 1% response rate. 2 weeks later, we sent another letter offering the free education, but this time we included a Rubik's Cube with the following headline. This Rubik's Cube has more than 4 billion possible combinations. Fortunately, there are only 5 that you need to worry about when it comes to being a successful manufacturer in the new millennium. Don't be puzzled by the dangers facing manufacturers. Get our free education today. We followed this clever mailing with phone calls from all the salespeople. As I do with most of my clients, I role played with the sales team every single week for an hour on a mass teleconference. I strongly urge every company to have a sales skills teleconference once per week. If your staff works in a single location, you can meet live rather than use the telephone. Here's how we spent our hour a week working on the business. I would ask each of the sales reps questions on what they said, what the prospect said, how they were turned down, and why they were turned down. Then we would role play possible responses to effectively persuade a disinterested prospect and turn him into an interested prospect. As I mentioned in chapter 2, when I first started with this company, not one salesperson was razor sharp at persuading CEOs who said they weren't interested. That's not to slam them. It's just to say that these salespeople normally called on production people in the bowels of the factory. And here I had them calling CEOs. And they weren't selling the OEM products they were used to selling. They were now selling a free educational program that ultimately sold the OEM product much more effectively. All the sales reps were rough in the beginning, but thanks to constant pig-headed determination and role playing with them every single week, each rep got better and better. In fact, the whole team got surprisingly good. By the end of the 5 month period, every role play with every rep was pretty darn effective. Back to the mailers. We continue sending their dream clients a clever mailer with a cute gift every other week for 5 months. We sent a flashlight with the message: don't be in the dark about the 5 biggest dangers facing manufacturers. Then we sent a compass with a note that said, most companies are losing direction when it comes to manufacturing in today's environment. Don't be one of them. Get our report on the 5 biggest dangers facing manufacturers today. Then came a tape measure. If you want to measure up to the highest manufacturing standards, get our free report on the 5 most dangerous trends facing manufacturers. It might sound expensive to send a gift to every prospect every other week. The key here is that this company was only sending them to a few hundred prospects. Since these few hundred prospects were the biggest companies this company could possibly target, if the mailers got them one client, it would pay for mailers for 20 years. We had sent only 4 such mailers when a huge client told one of the salespeople, "Oh yes, glad you called. I just have I just have to have you come here and meet with me." The sales rep was so shocked he asked, "Why is that?" The client responded, "Because I've been getting all those little gifts of yours and I just think your marketing is superb." When the sales rep arrived, the prospect had all the little gifts on his desk, where he constantly played with them. He even jokingly cursed out the sales rep because he was addicted to the Rubik's Cube. This kind of diligent and consistent marketing effort wins over just about everyone if you stick with it long enough. The point is that you stand out in the crowd with great marketing. Within 3 months, we secured meetings with half of their Dream 100 prospects. The education, which was their core story, was so compelling that 100 of the prospects who responded and experienced the education took the offer to test my client's OEM product. And of those that tested, 100% bought some product and a relationship began. This single activity took this company from being 6 million in the red to being 2 million in the black the following year. Needless to say, the client was utterly thrilled. 6 simple steps for getting down to the nitty gritty. Here are 6 simple steps to help you get your dream clients. 1. Choose your Dream 100. 2. Choose the gifts. 3. Create your Dream 100 letters. 4. Create your Dream 100 calendar. 5. Conduct Dream 100 follow-up calls. 6. Present the executive briefing. Step 1. Choose your Dream 100. In step 6, in chapter 6, you made lists of your dream clients, neighborhoods, and affiliates. Take a look at those again. This is your starting point to create your Dream 100 target list. Make sure you are clear on your criteria for your dream list. What kind of clients or neighborhoods qualifies as your Dream 100? Are they successful? So they have the money to spend if they want or need to buy? If you're in healthcare, do you want to go after the biggest hospitals? If you're in real estate, you probably want to target the neighborhoods with the most expensive homes. For companies that sell business to business, like the office supply company I use as an example, you will want to decide on criteria such as the number of employees, value of a company, location, industry, or whatever else qualifies a company to buy faster, more, and more often than any other buyer. You can do this easily online. One way is to go to www.zapdata.com. Input your criteria, and in minutes, you'll find out all the companies of a given size in any industry in your area. It is important to create a database where you can store a lot of information about your prospects. The more you know about your dream clients, the better you will be able to target them. Also, by getting your salespeople to capture great data on each client and having a database to store it, you'll have all the information you need to continue targeting them even if a salesperson leaves. If they are really big clients, it's worth the time to do a little research on them before you begin your hunt. Check out their website and any other promotional materials or articles on them that you can find. Every phone call you make to that prospect, even if it's merely to find out the correct address or spelling of the CEO's name, is a great learning opportunity. Another common tool used by many sales reps to get more details about their prospects is www.hoovers.com. Hoovers is a subscription service that provides up to date information on companies as well as industries and markets. If you do sell business to business, you need to decide who at each dream company will be your ideal prospect. Here's the rule for choosing your target: approach the one who has the authority to say yes. In the case of the manufacturer, the reps sold to a line executive who only had the power to say no. If that line executive wanted to add that client's product, he had to go higher up in the company to get permission. The person who would give the permission is the one you want to target with your efforts. This also dictates the kind of information you send. In the case of the company selling art to hospitals, the information in its core story was of ultimate value to the CEOs of the hospital. Therefore, the education based marketing approach enabled it to get hundreds of CEOs to participate in its free education. So, who is the person who can say yes to your product or service? Is your market data targeted effectively at that person? Step two, choose the gifts. I found that one of the best ways to get noticed by your Dream 100 is to send them small gifts every 2 weeks. Choose gifts like the Rubik's Cube I've already mentioned. It's just an inexpensive plastic puzzle that is slightly bigger than a cube of sugar. You want to consider many ideas for this. Just keep the gifts inexpensive. Expensive gifts come off like you're trying to bribe them. I have a client who has paid me millions and he won't let me buy him anything expensive as a thank you present. For Christmas, he has sent back the $1,000 pen I tried to give him to thank him for his business. Some executives will view expensive gifts with discomfort, so cheap is better. The prospect smiles at the gesture and doesn't feel bribed. Another key to this is that the gifts should be useful, things that they will want to keep or play with, or take home to a child. Later in the chapter, we'll provide a list of ideas along with the sample headlines you could utilize to accompany the mailers. You want to make your gifts useful so the prospect will keep them and think of you often? If you send them a fake $100 bill keychain, it is likely to go right in the garbage. But if you send them a pen light, a tape measure, or even a squirt gun, the executives are likely to put it in their drawer and hang on to it. Once I ran a trade show, the salesperson who sold us all of our incentives, binders, bags, and so on, stopped by and gave me a flashlight pen as a thank you gift. I put it in my jacket pocket, thinking I would give it to my kids later. That was the day of the 1989 San Francisco earthquake. I was sitting in my office on the phone with a friend in New York when the earthquake struck. Everything started shaking, and the office was in a panic, with people running helter skelter. Being new to California, I was more prepared than the folks who lived there because I actually paid attention to the what to do in an earthquake public service announcements. I ran to my door frame and yelled to everyone, "Get in a door frame." Since I was the voice of authority in a panic, 25 people suddenly ran to my door frame. With my entire staff in tow, we headed to the emergency exit, descending 13 stories in a concrete encased windowless stairwell. The emergency lights didn't work, and the stairwell was pitch black. So here we were, feeling our way along the walls and trying to find the next landing or set of stairs. I suddenly remembered the flashlight in my pocket. I pulled it out and clicked it on. I can still see all the faces light up in the total blackness. Someone said, "You carry a flashlight in your pocket." I wasn't just a good executive, but also a good Boy Scout, prepared for all emergencies. Not really, just a rare case of serendipity. The point is, you never know when your gift is going to come in handy. And you can bet I called the salesperson the next day to tell her the story. We use that salesperson every time after that for all our incentive needs. The goal is to stand out in the marketing crowd and to breed more brand awareness. Even if prospects do not take you up on the offers, the effort still dramatically raises your visibility and solidifies your brand. Here's a quick list of great gift ideas: inexpensive knockoffs manufactured in China at ridiculous rates and purchased on a website. Magnifying glass, 100 for $60. Calculator, 120 for $200. Miniature toolkit, 120 for $120. Paddle ball, 120 for $50. Glider, 1000 for $70. Rubik's Cube, 120 for $40. Metal whistle, 120 for $100. Plastic dinosaur, 100 for $26. Step 3, create your dream 100 letter. A letter should accompany every gift you send. The letter should be short so the prospect will read it. The letter should be short so the prospect will read it. It should tie into the gift in some clever way. You need to offer something to which they can easily say yes. The letter must include a call to action so they know exactly what you want them to do next. The success of your Dream 100 effort depends on what you decide to offer them. Remember what you learned in Chapter 4, Strategy Before Tactics. If your effort is tactical, your letter might say, "We sell the best widgets known to man." This tactical approach will work eventually as well, but not as effectively as making your first offer a chance to get in front of the prospects in some way that serves them best before you. If you're selling to a business, what you really want is an appointment or the chance to walk it through a web seminar, as explained in previous chapters. One strategy I use with these mailers is to make the letter vague. The letter itself is probably not going to make the sale, but the follow up phone calls will get you what you want. We'll get to that in step 5. Here's a letter that could accompany a stopwatch. Dear Personalize, every second that you do not get our free executive briefing, the 5 most critical insights in blank industry, today you are losing money. This is a free, your industry, community service sponsored by our firm as a way to give something back to the market. This executive briefing contains more than $3 million in research. It's boiled down to a bullet style, fast paced, outstanding education on how to increase business in this scary period of rising competition and fill in other pain points here. Call for your free executive briefing today. The clock is ticking and you are losing money. This is a very short letter. It has a clever tie in to the stopwatch. Since the letter is so brief, it will actually get read. Remember that you are going to launch a campaign, not merely send a single letter. You are committing to breaking through the clutter and gaining brand awareness with this client. Plus, as stated, you're not going you're not going to get what you really want from a letter. Consider the letter to be like long range bombing. It softens the prospect before you attack directly, before your salesperson calls. Exercise. Take the list of gifts and write headlines around each gift. Focus the headline on the prospect, not on you. For example, tape measure. Make sure you measure up. Whistle. Blow the whistle on rising costs in your industry. Calculator. Calculate how much you're losing, saving in your battle to dominate. Naturally, you have to focus these letters on your offer. If your offer is for a free education, then I have just given you a great foundation for that. However, there may be times when you don't want to offer an education. You can use this approach in a tactical way to just directly promote your product or service by focusing the letter on the benefits your product or service brings to the prospect. I have 2 approaches for using the gifts before and after the free education has been presented. Right now, I have a client who has been very successful at getting in front of large buyers and presenting the information. And while the information is excellent and gives my client quite an in to get closer to these massive prospects, several of the prospects have seen the information and not yet bought. Some just putting off my client, saying, I would be interested in this in 6 months, or a flat out, thanks for the info, but I like the providers I have now. In this case, after you present and get turned down, now the letter can and should be very tactical. Once you have presented, you've established a small beachhead in the prospect's mind. But it is only with constant and an intense follow up that prospects will be won over after they have said no. If you continue to send them the gifts with clever tie ins to your product, eventually the prospect begins to think, you know what? Let's give some business to that company that keeps sending us those gifts. Those guys just never give up. Let's try them out. Or it could happen, as I've seen 100 times, that you keep following up and one of their preferred providers lets them down in some way, and wham, you are the first company they think of because you never gave up. They turn to you when they need a new provider. So keep sending the mailers and keep calling behind them. Business to consumer strategy. A best buyer strategy to consumers is more expensive than one that targets businesses because usually you must target a higher number of consumers in order to have an impact. Meaning, if you are going after manufacturers, you can do a major company turnaround by approaching only a few hundred massive companies. But if you are a jewelry store, a car dealership, a dentist, a chiropractor, a boat dealer, or another type of retailer, you have to target a larger number of best buyers to make a difference. Take my example of the real estate salesperson who went after an entire neighborhood of 2,200 upscale homes. She only sent a threefold flyer, but she sent it every month to the same 2,200 homes without fail. If you are a dentist and want your office packed with people who are more concerned with their health than with the money they have to spend to maintain it, then a concentrated effort must be made to target those best neighborhoods. Here's a letter to that group that you can use as a model. Dear Personalized, we have written to you because of who you are in the community. It is our goal to provide outstanding service to the finest families in our community. Hence, we are willing to do things to win you over as our patient that we would simply not offer to anyone else. We want you to see how superbly we serve you. And so we are willing to give you a cleaning and examination worth $125 at no cost to you. This is just an example. Some states have laws that prohibit dentists from doing things like this. You are responsible for knowing the laws that govern your market or industry. Let's say you sell boats. Let me show you how to open your market and attract more buyers. Most boating showrooms have to advertise in boating magazines and appeal to those who are already in the boating world. In my case, it had never occurred to me to own a boat, and I certainly wouldn't have read a boating magazine. When a friend suggested it, I thought, sounds like a nice hobby. I bought a nice I bought a used boat to see if I liked boating, and then the following year stepped right up to a yacht and have become an avid boater. In my case, the impetus was a friend's suggestion, but the following strategy might have lured me in just as well. So here is the strategy for penetrating an entire group of potential buyers using the concepts in this chapter. Of course, do not limit your thinking to just boats. This strategy might apply to any upscale product or service. The first step is to write a letter to the upscale homes in your area, offering them something of value to them related to your product or service. Use the following boating letter as a model for your own letter. Dear Personalized, we are writing to you because many people in your position in life are now discovering the beauty, peace, and fun of having a family boat. There is no escape quite so wonderful as having a boat. It's an adventure, an opportunity to bond with family and friends, and a way to get away from everything for a limited time and only to people in your position. We are offering a boat day. Come and see if you love boating. We'll take your family out for a fabulous day of boating. If you do sell boats and don't want to offer a boat day, you could offer a sunset cruise and take several couples at once. A few drinks later, as you cruise into the sunset, you will have several viable prospects for your boat business. You're not going to offer this to just anyone, just to the type of homeowner who can buy a $30,000 or even $300,000 boat. These people are worth a day of your time. Naturally, not everyone will buy, but you'd be surprised how the word can spread and how one good deed like this can bring you other buyers at other times. Think about this. Part of part of your best buyer strategy is to also know who are the great affiliates. Go to a Mercedes dealer and do a trade. Anyone who buys a certain price Mercedes gets a gift certificate for a sunset cruise on one of your boats. How else can you work with affiliates? On your sunset cruise, you may want to invite a diamond dealer to have a jewelry show on your boat and maybe even give you a commission for sales made. Or go to that diamond dealer and offer to give a sunset cruise to anyone who pays cash for more than $5,000 worth of diamonds. If you are a diamond dealer, you can go to a boat showroom and offer to do a show for any clients who buy boats or give a coupon. The possibilities are endless. It's easy to increase sales if you use some of the concepts in this book. Exercise. Best buyer exercise. Write down three things you can offer your best buyers that you wouldn't offer the greater population. Choose the best one and using the above models, write a letter that you will send to those buyers. Affiliate exercise. Who else sells to the buyers you want to reach? What can you offer them or how can you work with them to better target your best buyers? Write down 10 ideas. Back to back to Dream 100 for best neighborhoods. Remember to keep sending offers to people in this neighborhood. They will then go from never having heard of you to knowing you well and do something special for them. They are special, so treat them like it. To make sure you are not taken advantage of, set time limits on your offers. Otherwise, someone can come in with 12 offers and want to collect all 12. The other thing you can do is remove folks from the free offer list once they have taken advantage of one offer. Your offer, your offers are to get the initial contact. Once you have that, it's up to you to have an outstanding offer to keep those clients. Step 4, create your Dream 100 calendar. What are you going to do to market to your Dream 100 each and every month without fail? Actually, it should be at least every month. It's even better if you send them something every 2 weeks. Stay in their face. Not every mailing has to be a gift, but those are the ones that they will definitely look at. You might send a gift a month with newsletters or press releases in between. The more they become familiar with your name, the better your chance of gaining them as clients. Here are some marketing tools that can be coordinated into your Dream 100 effort. Remember, as you learned in Chapter 7, The 7 Musts of Marketing, each of these could highlight your core story and be consistent in the appearance and message you are sending out to your prospects and clients. Cards, letters, novelties, newsletters, promos, surveys, PR articles, and press releases. Exercise. Design a Dream 100 effort that hits your prospects every 2 weeks. Write down on the calendar which gifts and or offers you will send first. Next, mark on your calendar what you will send 2 weeks later. Will it be a newsletter or coupon, or will it just hammer them with gifts so you know they will at least pick up what you sent and look at the letter? Map out your first 3 to 6 months for your Dream 100 effort. A side note, many companies that sell incentives offer a discount if you buy a certain quantity. So buying all of your Dream 100 gifts at once does two things. It commits you to the process. You already have the gifts, so you'd better follow through now. And gets you the incentives at a lower price. Step 5, conduct Dream 100 phone call follow-up. After every gift or mailing, you'll need to follow up with each Dream 100 prospect. This is easier with business to business sales as phone numbers are readily available. In business to consumer cases, numbers may not be listed or the prospects may be on the do not call list. So, in the case of business to consumer, your best bet is to continue to send the offers so consistently that everyone on the list gets to know who you are. For business to business, the goal of this follow up call is to schedule an appointment to get your core story in front of the prospect. The procedure is the same after each mailing to your dream list. You will call after each mailer. However, I've seen it happen where the above designed letters will prompt some executives to actually call you to get the free report that you offered. In the case of the client selling to manufacturers, the letter referred to a free report, but it did not spell out that the report was actually delivered live. Don't make the mistake of saying in a letter, "We want to come and present to you." That's a much bigger sale to make from a mere letter. From this brief letter, it's highly unlikely that your prospects will make the decision to have someone come and present to them live. So the letter offers a free report. And then when they call, your salesperson has the opportunity to go much deeper and explain that the report is delivered live. When we sent letters like this, offering to come and present to people, we received 0 phone calls. When we altered the letter to offer a free report and did not specify that the report is delivered live, 7% of those who received the letter called to get the free report. Now, a live body, your salesperson, can transition the caller to a much deeper experience. To paraphrase, the salesperson's pitch went something like, "Oh, you thought it was a report that we just sent over? No, it's much better than that. If we just send you a report with hundreds of pages of raw data, you'd probably never read it. So, to go the extra mile, we actually hired a graphics firm and had the data converted into a riveting full color orientation that we present live right in your office. It's packed with great information and graphics to illustrate points, including bar charts, graphs, and photos. It's a great experience, and everyone we've shown it to is impressed. Most of your competitors have either already seen it or are on our list to show it to them. It takes only 38 minutes to see, and we have speakers who are going around the country right now presenting it. You don't even have to travel. You view it right in the comfort of your own office. You can even have it as a lunch and learn. Are you familiar with that term? It's very popular in business today. You have to eat lunch anyway, so here's a chance to learn while you eat. We underwrite everything. It costs us plenty, but it won't cost you a penny. Why do we do this? It's a PR effort on our part, a way to form more relationships in the manufacturing community and to share information to help us all be more successful. We like to meet folks like you and even learn things from you as we share the data with you. Do you have your calendar handy? Note that the salesperson said that a speaker would come in and present to you. Again, being a strategist means that you maximize everything, including the words you use. The right title for your salespeople can be very strategic. As stated, no one likes to be sold to, so develop non sales sounding titles that position the rep better in the prospect's mind. And besides, who's to say that your salespeople can't also be speakers? They can certainly have another function in your company. For those prospects who do not call you to request the report, you are going to call them. One of the hardest tasks today is to get around the gatekeeper, whose job is to guard top executives. Let's do some training on that right now. How to get around gatekeeper and get anyone on the phone. If you're selling business to business, how much is it worth to you to talk your way into a meeting with the most powerful CEOs on the planet? Imagine sitting in front of your dream prospect who just happens to have the ability to hand over a 7-figure check before you leave his office. I've been able to get around gatekeepers and reach the following executives on the telephone. Some are not in these positions anymore, but they were when I got to them. Michael Eisner at Disney, George Zimmer of the Men's Warehouse, David Pottruck, CEO of Charles Schwab, Phil Purcell, CEO of Morgan Stanley, Carl Reichart, chairman of Wells Fargo Bank, Alan Horn, COO of Warner Brothers. The biggest tip is that your voice has to sound like you're important. The dead giveaway that you are selling something is when you try to be charming to the assistant. Do not ask her, "How are you doing? How are you today?" That's the biggest giveaway that you are a salesperson. As I've already mentioned, I got the chairman of Wells Fargo Bank on the telephone by calling with a very authoritative voice saying, Hi, this is Chet Holmes. Is Carl in?" To my utter delight, he called me back. Who calls CEOs of the largest companies in the world? Very important people. So if your voice has that tone of authority and you tell the assistant what to do, not ask them, you are very likely to get right through. The other secret to getting that top executive on the telephone is to send the gatekeeper back as many times as you can, each time giving very little information. Let me show you the difference. Here's a weak salesperson. You. How are you today? Assistant. Good. You. Is Mr. Smith in? Assistant. Who's calling? You. This is Bill Johnston. Assistant. May I ask what this call is in reference to? You. I'm calling to talk about my product. Assistant. I see. Let me take a message. First question. Who was leading this conversation? The assistant. As long as the assistant is leading, you lose. You must lead the conversation at all times. Let me stress one key thing. Never lie. Never give false information. That doesn't mean you tell the whole truth. You just don't lie, ever. Observe the subtleties here as I show you how to send the gatekeeper back so many times that the CEO finally gets fed up and tells her to put the call through. In fact, have a contest. Let's see how many times you can send that gatekeeper back to that CEO. Hi, this is Bill Johnston. I'm calling for Carl. Is he in? Notice that the assistant can't ask my name. I've given it. Important people give their names. And I didn't ask, how are you today? Assistant, can I ask what this call is in reference to? Just tell him it's Bill Johnston. The assistant goes to Carl and tells him it's Bill Johnston. The boss says, what's it about? The assistant says he didn't say. It sounded like he knew you. The boss tells the assistant to get more information. Assistant, I'm sorry. Can you tell me what this is in reference to? You, did you tell him it's Bill Johnston? Assistant, yes. He didn't seem to know you. You, hmm. Just tell him I'm from XYZ company. That might jog his memory. Remember to keep a tone of authority. That keeps assistants off guard. They don't know if they have any power over you yet. The minute you start sounding like a salesperson, you give them that power and they will wield it well. You must keep them off balance. The assistant now goes to the boss again, expecting that he might know you. You didn't say he would. You said that the name of your company might jog his memory. Ideally, you will have sent a letter in advance with very little information. Even if it gets thrown out, it still gives you the liberty to act like he might remember you, your company name, or the purpose of your call. Or the purpose of your call. The boss says he doesn't know the name and sends the assistant back to you once again. Assistant, I'm sorry, Mr. Johnston, but the company name didn't ring any bells. Can you please tell me what this is in reference to? You, who am I speaking to? You take control of the conversation. Assistant, this is his assistant. You, are you his regular assistant? Assistant, yes. You, what's your name? Assistant, Shirley. We want to get as much info as possible from every call. Not only are you taking control, but you are just beginning to work on this dream client and want to keep impeccable records and gain more info from every call that you make. You, tone of authority. Shirley, if you'll tell Carl that I'm following up on some correspondence sent to him, that should be enough. Be clear that a top executive is surely not afraid to take your call. And most are rescuers. They will rescue the assistant and just say, put him through. I'll handle this. By now, often the CEO comes to the phone just to have the assistant stop coming back to him. He will be gruff, a little impatient. That means that the first words out of your mouth have to be sharp and to the point and sound important. Whatever you do, don't now turn into a salesperson and ask him, how are you today? Salesperson, maintain your authority and have a fantastic 2-minute opening worked out, like the script ideas provided in this chapter on the educational approach. Be clever, be confident. That's key. And know that your tone of voice has 5 times more impact on their perception than the actual words that you use. Step 6. Present the executive briefing. This step has been thoroughly covered in Chapter 4 on strategy and Chapter 8 on effective presentations. But here's a review of the key points to remember about building your core story. Use market data, not product data. Set the buying criteria in your favor. Find the smoking gun, the one thing that undeniably positions you over everyone else. Make sure you hit their pain points. Include your own pitch for your product or service only after you have covered the education thoroughly. The biggest mistake I see salespeople make is pitching themselves too early in their free education. You promised an education, so you need to deliver. The beautiful thing about the core story sales approach is that you give them a lot of great, usable information, and then the presentation funnels down to where you've built rapport and trust. You can then say, I have a little 2 minute section about our company. Would you have a little 2 minute section about our company? Would you like to hear it? If you did a good job with the first part of your presentation, no one will refuse. I've helped companies use the core story, free education strategy a number of ways. Here are some options. One, all your salespeople are trained as speakers, and each of them can take these education-based sales tools into the field, get their own appointments, and present. Just make darn sure that they can present and that they don't die out there. Test every single salesperson. You might even want to have a contest for best presenter and put some money on the table that a few of the presenters can win. This makes everyone practice the material. Plus, it forces everyone to watch each presenter's presentation, in which they'll learn many different approaches that their colleagues may have developed. Two, your sales rep can just sell the appointment, and you can use only your absolute best presenters to present the material. I worked with a company in Norway that perfected this method. It found that one of its presenters was closing three or four times more sales than anyone else. So we worked out a small override for her, and the sales reps all sold clients into her webinars. The sales reps then would follow up on their own clients to close the sale. Three, naturally, this can be done in person if the sale is big enough and worth the investment to send live bodies to prospects. If it's possible, the rep who made that appointment should attend the meeting and then should also be the person responsible for following up after the appointment and closing the sale. Naturally, it's better if this is all done in one meeting. The speaker does the presentation with a call to action at the end, like a free assessment or audit of their current methods. Right there on the spot, the rep sets this up if possible. Important note, only one person can present to any client anytime. If the rep goes with the speaker, a person clearly great at presenting data and keeping the attention of the prospect, then that rep's job in that room is to support the efforts of the speaker. I was once in a meeting where the rep started doodling. He had seen the info so many times that he was bored, so he acted that way. How do you think that made the prospect feel about the information? I felt like reaching over and slapping the pen out of that rep's hand. So make sure that the rep is utterly riveted by the amazing data presented. I've also seen cases where two people presented and basically competed for the attention of the client. The client's head looked like he was center court watching a tennis match, his head bobbing back and forth between the two opponents. The web now makes it so that you can use both options. The rep can present over the web, or the rep can make the sale for the prospect to attend this web seminar. And the company's best presenter can be the one to do the actual orientation or executive briefing. Check out www.gotomeeting.com or www.livemeeting.com or www.vlinklive.com. Providers that enable you to present images over the web while you are also on the phone with the prospect. This is a very cool way to sell. No one has to travel, and sometimes it's easier to get an appointment with prospects if they don't have to commit to having you in their office. On the other hand, it's also a lot easier for them to not show up. So if you take the web seminar route, you must build excellent follow-up pieces that keep the prospect hot on the idea. If my salespeople talk to the prospect on a Monday and set up an appointment for 2 days later, the prospect will get three communication pieces from us. One comes from immediately, one comes immediately to confirm the appointment and sell the heck out of the content that they're going to see. The next day, the prospect will get a brief one-page letter from another executive who has seen the material and is raving about how valuable it was. Then, the day of the appointment, the prospect will get a second letter raving about how good the content is. Recently, we developed a worksheet that requires prospects to fill in the blanks. The prospects look at the blanks and their brain says, wow, I want to know the answer to that question. For example, our worksheet has things like blank is the single most important trait shared by entrepreneurs who grow their company to $100 million per year and beyond. The worksheet has 2 pages of teasers like that. When we started offering this worksheet, our show up rate to the web seminar increased by 20%. Conclusion: an education based Dream 100 strategy has worked again and again to help companies penetrate impenetrable accounts or to attract those best buyers in the best neighborhoods. The biggest weakness I noticed, the biggest weakness I noticed when I see companies utilize this strategy is that either they are too inconsistent or they give up too quickly. Remember that getting the best buyers is a process, not a single event. It's a campaign to stay in their face forever. This might not replace what you're doing now, but it should be at least be an additional effort that you police really well through your organization. So while you are doing everything else you're doing, make sure you have a consistent and constant additional effort to go after those best buyers. And then make sure you treat them like they are special once they get into your realm. To build the ultimate sales machine, you must devote machine like precision to chase and tackle those dream prospects. And that concludes chapter 9. Tomorrow we've got chapter 10, sales skills. But chapter 9, I'm telling y'all right now, if you're an entrepreneur, I'm telling you, chapter 9 is something special. I've been using it for a very long time. It's been helping me out with building wholesale portals in my websites and selling business to business. I also sell business to consumer. Make no mistake about it. But selling business to business changes everything. All right. Hey, hey, hey! Listen, can y'all hear me? Can y'all hear me? Expose your gift.